Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
A warmer from the low. Welcome to lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. We've got an excellent podcast for you as we're going to be joined in segment number 2 by William Boor. He does a tremendous job over at Action Network. We chatted with him just as game number 1 of the World Series wrapped up. We get his reaction to everything that we did see in a very stunning and a very interesting game number 1. Additionally, we're going to be turning it forward, seeing what we're all going to be getting in game number 2 and beyond, and why he feels like now is a very good time to be able to bet the series price of the LA Dodgers as well. So we're going to be chatting about that and so much more in the final segment. I'm going to get you guys picks and analysis for game number 2 of the World Series as we touch them all. If you do have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one of 2 ways we fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at gunit_81. Keep in mind, LarsDM, they mean does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. And the other way is via an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it is very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. While I did not get in any Twitter/X questions today, everything is powered by EdgeBoost. EdgeBoost is making sure that bettors are able to have access to their funds whenever and wherever. With EdgeBoost, 100% of gambling transactions do get approved, and when you go to edgeboost.bet, make sure you put in that promo code of Greg, G-R-E-G. That'll get you a dollar for dollar match on your first deposit up to $25. Now let's take a look back at everything that we saw in Game 1 of the World Series, and how the Toronto Blue Jays were able to take a 1-0 series lead.
Games from yesterday is Greg buzzing about. Here is the rowdy recap.
Talk about an overwhelming game. The Blue Jays were able to get the job done by a count of 11-4. For Blake Snell, just was not sharp in this one. He gives up 5 runs over the course of 5 innings, giving up a home run to Dalton Varsho, his 3rd of the postseason. And if you look at the entirety of the season, Dalton Varsho is getting a home run every about 11.5 or so at bat. So he has very much been a great power hitter for this Toronto Blue Jays team. And then from there is where the levees really broke. As for the Toronto Blue Jays, how about a 9-run 6th inning? The game total was 7.5. Emmett Sheehan, he allows 3 runs in a third of an inning, and then Anthony Banda comes in. He inherited some runners, and, well, he did not hold them on, and he gave up a pair of bombs. Don't call his name Alejandro Kirk, his 4th home run of the postseason, and Addison Barger, a grand slam, his 3rd home run of the playoffs. Will Klein probably didn't think that he was going to get a lot of action here in the World Series. He threw a squirrel setting along Justin Robelski, and for the Blue Jays, Trey Savage wasn't necessarily sharp himself. He did have 3 walks, but he held down the fort just enough, gave up 2 runs over the course of 4 innings. From there, Mason Fluharty, Sir Anthony Dominguez combined for 2 scoreless innings. Braden Fisher does give up 2 runs in his inning of work, as you did have a long ball by Shohei Ohtani, his 6th home run of the postseason. And last 2 playoff games for Shohei Ohtani, 4 home runs, because he had that 3 home run closeout game against the Milwaukee Brewers. And then Chris Bassett, Eric Lauer, who were starters throughout the season, Hook, Line, and Saker, they were both able to get a scoreless inning. So you saw a big giant over for the Blue Jays, who have now played 6 out of their last 8 postseason games to the over. And this was the first over for the LA Dodgers in quite some time. They did not play a single over in that series against the Milwaukee Brewers. So we had ourselves a really fun game number 1. And here to unpack it with me next is William Boor. He does such great work over at Action Network, and we'll chat with him on the flip side right here on the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now a part of the VSiN Family Podcast.
Are you interested in effortlessly growing your Bitcoin portfolio? I sure am. The Bitcoin credit card by Gemini earns you Bitcoin back on every purchase. Use it like any credit card. Buy lunch, gas, or your weekly groceries, and you'll earn up to 4% back instantly in Bitcoin or one of over 50 other cryptos straight to your account. All that with no annual fee. And right now, you can grab a $200 Bitcoin welcome bonus. It's the easiest way to start building your Bitcoin stack. Go to Gemini.com/card to learn more. Terms apply. See the link in the description for more information regarding rates and fees.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Great to be joined by this man as we've got William Boor aboard. He does such a tremendous job over at Action Network taking a look at this great game that we all know and love of baseball. I know that he's been dialed into this great sport all season long, also doing an amazing job on the college football front and so much more. You're able to follow him on Twitter/X at WBoor. That is the letter W, then BOOR all together. And William, it's a pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Of course, Greg. Always happy to hop on with you, talk some baseball. Got a little bit of a shocker in game one, so this should be fun.
Absolutely. And just what did you make out of what we saw in game number one? Because I don't think that it's the world's most stunning thing that the Blue Jays were able to take game number one because, well, it's baseball and anything can happen in baseball. But that said, the way that it got just violent in the middle innings was very, very interesting to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the 9-run sixth just stands out like crazy. And I think, like you said, it's baseball. Anything can happen on any given day. But when we look at this Dodgers team, the thing we talked about all year was the pitching staff. The thing we talked about specifically in the postseason was the bullpen. And that bullpen imploded in that inning. Now, Snell definitely wasn't sharp. I think we saw that. He got out of the first inning, but that was a long inning. You know, when you're throwing 20 plus pitches in the first, it's not good, especially knowing that you have a bad bullpen like the Dodgers do. I think we kind of knew right then and there that, like, oh, Snell's not going to be able to go super deep in this game. So the Dodgers are going to have to rely on that bullpen, but then they take a 2-0 lead and you're like, okay, well, maybe that bullpen will be able to bridge the gap for game one or something like that. But all of a sudden, you know, leadoff walk again. I mean, Snell walked 3, wasn't great. You get in trouble in the 6th, and then obviously it imploded. Obviously, you still like the Dodgers. It's still a very good team. The bullpen's going to be a story all series, but we'll see what happens.
Yep, and with the LA Dodgers, how big do you think that it was that they really didn't throw their high leverage guys because it did get so out of hand? So the likes of Roki Sasaki and company, they're all going to be fresh for game number 2, and I've always made this argument in baseball. You'd rather get destroyed and not use up your high leverage guys rather than lose like a 1-run squeaker in this sort of a circumstance.
Totally agree with you there. The fact that they didn't have to use Sasaki, they didn't have to burn those arms. You do have your high leverage guys, the guys you maybe trust a little bit more, fresh for game 2. Like you said, if this would have been tied in the 8th, you know, you bring in Sasaki or even at least have him warm up and then you lose this in the 8th or the 9th, that's a lot tougher to bounce back from, A, emotionally, but B, physically, like on the pitchers. When you're all of a sudden you're down 7 in the 6th inning, you can say, hey, let's punt this and let's just eat some innings.
Yep, exactly. As William Boor does such great work over at Action Network, he is joining me on the Baseball Betting Show, and we do have a initial opener as we're recording this for game number 2 with the Dodgers minus 132 plus 112 with the Blue Jays. Most books do not have this up, so this is going to vary a little bit in that total of 7.5. And what I was going back to before, without having to use up the high leverage guys, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I actually like that 7.5 under because I do think that Kevin Gausman is the best pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays. And if you look at road pitching and road pitching only, Yoshinobu Yamamoto has been absolutely dominant for the Dodgers.
So I hear what you're saying. The only thing that scares me about unders, frankly, in this whole series,
both these offenses,
is both these offenses and the Dodgers bullpen that we just talked about. However, that being said, I did no run first inning. That was my only bet of game 1, so hit that. Your thought on Gausman or Yamamoto, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed. I'm not seeing a number yet. I wouldn't be opposed to a first 5 under because that avoids the bullpens. I totally get your thought process. I want no part of an under with these bullpens and these offenses.
I do not blame you there. I am going to be the schmuck that takes the under, and we will wait and see what happens there. And then, in terms of a money line perspective, any sort of an edge here on the Blue Jays, because coming into the series, I did think that the Blue Jays' best shot of winning a game was when Kevin Gausman was pitching. I would like to see a little bit more than a plus 112. This is honestly a little bit shorter than what I was expecting, but I do take a look at this Blue Jays team, and I think that they've got their best arm going in game number 2.
I do, but you just mentioned Yamamoto throwing well on the road. Dodgers are hitting. The number that's actually sticking out to me right now is obviously because they lost game 1 is Dodgers series price at 114. That seems like really good value on a team that I still think is going to win this series, a team I think is better. I mean, that price 5 hours ago before game 1 was north of $2, and now we're getting 116 on it, and I kind of really like that number.
Yep, I think that that's a really good way to be able to go about it as well, because I think that even though the Dodgers lost in game number one, and I thought that it was a relatively rough game number one, I still like them overall for the series, and I don't know if you're thinking what I'm thinking, but I do think that perhaps the toughest game moving forward for the Dodgers is going to be game number two. I could very easily see them losing game number two, but be able to come back from a 2-0 hole, be able to get home, and then from there have just some more dominant starting pitching moving forward, I think could actually be very advantageous for the Dodgers.
Yeah, the other thing that I'm looking into now is if you think Yamamoto throws well on the road, you think the Dodgers win game two, could I maybe interest you in 33-1 Yamamoto World Series MVP? With Snell getting a loss, Yamamoto has a chance to get 2 wins in this series, which could be very valuable when it comes to, World Series MVP voting.
And I think the only problem with that is that that Shohei Ohtani is going to do something absolutely ridiculous in this series. And man,
also true. And he homered.
Yeah, he homered. If he has another game like he did in the closeout game number 4 against the Milwaukee Brewers, there is absolutely no way whatsoever that he's not getting that MVP award. And that's why he is so short. And I do think that the MVP market does become so intriguing, because going into the series, Shohei Ohtani was right around plus 180, and nobody else was sub 7 to 8 to 1, depending upon your book. And I know you're looking at Yamamoto a little bit. Could there be a little bit of intrigue if the Blue Jays win this series? Because if the Blue Jays do, we saw a whole bunch of guys be able to belt out some bombs in game number 1, with Dalton Varsho really getting the party started. I think some of those long shots could become very, very live now.
Varsho 20-1, I'm looking at. Kirk 16-1. I mean, Vlad plus 650. The thing with the Blue Jays is I feel like is there's so many people and so many people put up good offensive numbers. Maybe you want to split a unit and spray the board or something like that with the Blue Jays, but there's a lot of names to choose from that all do have good value. If you think the Blue Jays, that's the thing too, is since the Dodgers are still favored to win the series, all these Blue Jays players are at really big odds, which if you do like the Blue Jays is a very fun way to attack that board.
Yep, exactly. And I do think that that's going to be nice to look at moving forward. And William, any other thoughts that you had from game number 1 and anything else that you might be looking to bet, whether that be in game number 2 or for the overall series? Because I know you were talking about taking a shot on that Dodgers series bet now that they've lost game number 1.
Still like the Dodgers series bet. Hit the no-run first inning in game 1. Probably going to run that back again in game 2. I might look at, once I see some first 5 inning unders, I might do that because I liked your thought process there. Otherwise, it's going to be tough. I normally bet the playoffs game by game, but just, the Dodgers are going to be favored every single game. So this World Series, I might have to get a little more creative than most.
Yep, and your cheapest price might be in game number 2 right now, seeing that minus 132. And when this podcast comes out, I don't think it's going to be minus 132, but a man that always keeps it 100 is William. He does a tremendous job over at Action Network. William, I know that you're doing a little bit of everything and doing so also well, so love the good people at home. Know it's all on tap for you and how people can follow along on social media and other platforms.
Of course, follow me on Twitter at WBoor, WBOOR. All my bets are in the Action Network app at WilliamBoor_, all one word. This is coming out late Friday night, early Saturday morning, which means not only will we have baseball stuff on our app, but it'll be loaded with college football stuff. If you want to bet college football throughout the day, we'll have that for you. Obviously, NFL on Sunday. Pretty much anything you can bet in North America, we've got it.
Absolutely. And William, he does a tremendous job taking a look at this great game of baseball. Every single time he joins me, he lends such great insights. So big thanks to William for joining me on the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. And coming next, it is that time of the podcast. I give you my picks and analysis for Game 2 of the World Series as we touch them all.
Are you interested in effortlessly growing your Bitcoin portfolio? I sure am. The Bitcoin credit card by Gemini earns you Bitcoin back on every purchase. Use it like any credit card. Buy lunch, gas, or your weekly groceries, and you'll earn up to 4% back instantly in Bitcoin or one of over 50 other cryptos straight to your account. All that with no annual fee, and right now you can grab a $200 Bitcoin welcome bonus. It's the easiest way to start building your Bitcoin stack. Go to Gemini.com/card to learn more. Terms apply. See the link in the description for more information regarding rates and fees.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. It is always a pleasure to be joined by William Boor. He does such a great job over at Action Network, taking a look at this great game that we all know and love of baseball. Every single time he joins me, he lends such great insights, and he did so once again today. Big thanks to William for joining me in the last segment. Now it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis for Game 2 of the World Series as we touch them all.
If a game is listed on the betting board, Greg has a side and a total on it, so it is time to touch them all.
Do note that as per usual, any changes that are made to these plays will be listed up on my Twitter/X feed at gunit_81, and as per usual, we are going in Las Vegas rotation order. Very easy when you've only got one game on the Las Vegas rotation, so let's dive in. It is 9:23, 9:24. Dodgers on the road against the Blue Jays, with it being Kevin Gausman on the bump for the Jays. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is on the bump for the Dodgers, with the Dodgers there between -120 to -135 favorites. Between +112 to +120 is that number on Toronto with a total of 7.5. The under is between -110 to a -115. The over is between -105 to a -110, and I'm going to side with the Dodgers here. I set them at a -132 to a -131, anything of a -130 or less, which I'm seeing at most books out here in lovely Las Vegas. I'm going to be willing to lay, mainly because with the LA Dodgers, I originally had them at about a -125, but they didn't have to use up any of those high leverage guys. The likes of Roki Sasaki are going to be available in the bullpen. They did have to use up Emmett Sheehan, and that was not necessarily great what happened in that 6th inning, the 9 spot that they gave up to the Toronto Blue Jays, but Yoshinobu Yamamoto in his last game, he pitched a complete game for the Dodgers. Overall, between the regular season and the playoffs, has been able to get 10.2 strikeouts per 9 innings. If you look just overall at his road numbers, this includes the start they had against the Brewers, 2.04 ERA with less than 0.6 home runs allowed per 9 innings. Now, he does go up against the Blue Jays team that since the All-Star break is averaging 5.6 runs per game. That leads all baseball. Vlad Guerrero Jr., just 23 home runs during the regular season. He's already got 6 here in the playoffs, and you just look at the vulgar display of power that we saw on Friday. He has a little Pantera reference. Dalton Varsho, Alejandro Kirk, Addison Barger, all hit home runs, all between 3 and 4 home runs here in the playoffs, and Kirk during the regular season was hitting darn near about a 275. He's been rock solid here in the playoffs. George Springer had that big home run in game number 7 to be able to send the team here. He was not able to go deep on Friday, but he still had a pair of hits. He's been rock solid. You've had Ernie Clement hit over a 400 here in the postseason. Getting back Bo Bichette really helps out this offense as well, but for the LA Dodgers, you've got Shohei Ohtani, who's got 4 home runs in his last 2 games. You have to feel like Andy Baez, if they give him some more opportunities, he's going to be able to get going, hitting just a 0.77 here in the postseason. Even though Max Muncy's not hitting for average, he's still giving you a 3.75 on base, and Kike Hernandez has been really good in the playoffs. He had another RBI on Friday as well, so I think these guys are all starting to emerge. Mookie Betts is in his best form as well, and for the Blue Jays, their bullpen actually entered with a higher ERA into the series than that of the LA Dodgers. They had to use up quite a few guys. Braden Fisher had to throw 23 pitches in that game 1 on Friday, so that's a little bit of an issue. Now, you should have the likes of Brandon Little, Uriel Rodriguez, all good to go in this one as well, and even though he went in game number 1, a guy like a Seranthony Dominguez who only threw 13 pitches, he should be all good to go as well, and I do think that Kevin Gausman is the best pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays. He has given up 2 runs or fewer in now 15 out of his last 20 starts, 3.43 ERA overall for the season, but I feel like he's pitched better than that ERA would indicate. 8.5 strikeouts or 2.5 walks per 9 innings. I do think that this is going to be very much a pitcher's duel after we saw a very overwhelming game number 1, and I do think that in the end, the Dodgers do get back online and they make this a 1-1 series. I like the Dodgers here on the money line up to a -130. Frankly, I thought that we were going to be getting a number much more like what we got in game number 1, so getting this discount on the Dodgers, I'm in there, and I'm going to be in on the total under as well. I actually set my total at 6.9, so even at a 7, I'd be in on the under, and that'll wrap things up for the Saturday edition of the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Big thanks to William Boor. He does such great work over at Action Network. He joined me in the last segment. If you do like hearing from this fine podcast, Baseball Betting Show, you're able to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one of 2 ways to be able to fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at gunit_81. Keep in mind, there's the name does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline, and the other way is find an Apple Podcast podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it is very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. I'm going to be with you guys every single day here throughout the postseason. Rain or shine, no matter what the circumstances, I'm going to make sure that I am with you guys because we have to get ourselves as much out of this World Series as humanly possible, as it has been a great season, and I'll be sticking with you guys throughout. We'll not be doing the off-season podcast like I do for college basketball, but that said, I will be with you guys all throughout this postseason. I'll be back with you once again tomorrow. Thank you.
Are you interested in effortlessly growing your Bitcoin portfolio? I sure am. The Bitcoin credit card by Gemini earns you Bitcoin back on every purchase. Use it like any credit card. Buy lunch, gas, or your weekly groceries, and you'll earn up to 4% back instantly in Bitcoin or one of over 50 other cryptos straight to your account. All that with no annual fee, and right now you can grab a $200 Bitcoin welcome bonus. It's the easiest way to start building your Bitcoin stack. Go to Gemini.com/card to learn more. Terms apply. See the link in the description for more information regarding rates and fees.